Okay, before that I would like to make a disclaimer. This is all about how I teach harmonica to beginners, and there may be difference of opinions with other harmonica teachers as well. So this is about only how I teach harmonica. So there are different ways to teach harmonica. I'm just talking about how I do this. So first of all, there are two categories of students. The first category is the musically inclined students who are already into some kind of formal classical music training or any other form of musical training. The second category of students are those who have absolutely no idea of anything in music. So basically, I would like to target the second category people. So that is one thing, assessing what kind of students they are, whether they are musically inclined or not. And the second thing is the choice of harmonicas. Now generally, I teach in the Indian notation system, and of course, at the end of the day, it is chromatic harmonica that all of us play. And at the end of the day, it is Bollywood music and regional music that we all play, 90% of us. So choice of harmonicas, I personally feel, again this is a disclaimer, I personally feel that starting with a tremolo harmonica is a better thing. Only because one, affordability. You get a 20-hole tremolo harmonica as less as 500 rupees or 600 rupees. So affordability is one thing. And then the usage, because generally if you're a harmonica player, you will know that harmonica is so dear to you and you don't want to break it and you don't put it down and all those things. So I think affordability and then the kind of usage you do, especially children, they are a little not very okay with their harmonicas. They tend to break it, they tend to put it down and all these things. So it's better to have a tremolo harmonica is what I personally feel. And I generally start on the 20-hole Suzuki winner harmonica is what I use, generally. I can also use a 24-hole normal Ocean Star or any other harmonica like that. So that is one thing. And diatonic is something which I don't teach, so I don't want to talk about diatonic. And the next thing is the breath control. How much to blow and how much to draw. Basically tell them about the two actions, that these are the actions, blow and draw, and how much to blow and how much to draw, so that you don't damage the reeds and you don't get those fancy sounds on the lower octave and things like that. So that is one thing we have to be very careful when we are telling students as to what to do with the harmonica. And then before this, how to hold the harmonica. Actually, in the Indian context, we are not, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule as to harmonica should be held in a particular way, like we have in the West. But what I will tell my students is, please hold it in such a way that it doesn't look ugly when you are performing on stage. That's all. And I think the more rules we put for harmonica learning, the more difficult it's going to become, and then we will be losing on students. So I think it's better to make it little relaxing for students so that they can hold it in any way, but as much as possible, don't make it look ugly on stage, like holding something like this and playing. That is what I mean when I say looking bad on stage. Presentable, make it presentable. And then sir also spoke about the embouchure. That is very important. And I start with the single notes, first getting the single notes right, and then we go into multiple notes, and also tell the students where to use the single notes and where to use the multiple notes or the double notes or whatever you call it. For example, if I play a song like Chhu Kar Mere Man Ko, for example, I don't want to be playing like Hai Apna Dil Tawara. I'll be playing more on the single note technique. But if I'm playing something like Bar Bar Dekho or Mera Naam Ching Ching Cho or some happy song like that, peppy number, I don't want to be playing on single notes. I will definitely play on chord style or octave playing, these kind of techniques. And then, now this is a very debatable thing, what I'm going to tell you next. So generally we have the whole numbers on the harmonicas. Whole number 1 blow, 2 draw, 3 blow, 4, whatever. I am not for going by the number, whole number. So what I tell my students is, for example, if we are using a 20-hole tremolo harmonica, 20-hole tremolo harmonica, the sa or the C note generally begins on the 6th hole. Or if it is a 24-hole, it generally begins on the 8th hole. So what I tell them is, your 6th hole or the 8th hole in case of 24-hole is your C, and then listen to the frequency change of the note. Don't go by the whole number. Because what happens is, unlike Western music where we are taught whole number 1 blow and whole number 2 draw is C and D, I personally feel that students have to develop their ear trained hona chahiye. Because what happens is, when we play by whole number, it becomes a little mechanical. And even when we are giving notations, and at the end of the day, we are, at least I am giving the notes as per Indian notation system. And when I say Indian notation system, there is no 1 draw, 2 blow, it's only Saitejas, Padanisa. So to be able to understand the change in the frequency of the notes, sa, re, there has to be that change in frequency. To be able to understand that, I generally don't adhere to this whole number system, wherein I tell them, blow sa and push your harmonica slightly to the left and draw. Observe the change in the sound, change in the frequency. And then it becomes practice. And then what happens is, the spacing between each note, they'll be able to get it. So after this, at the end of the day, I keep telling my students, so at midnight, 12 o'clock, if I come and put a harmonica in your mouth and ask you to play ma, you should play ma, not the or re. So that is what I tell them. And next is what the content of the course itself, the beginner's course. What is the content of the course? So after teaching them how to play circums, the Sarigama Padanisa, we have something called alankars, as sir mentioned. Now again, these alankars, why these alankars are important? The Indian classical music system itself, be it Carnatic music or the Hindustani system, alankar is given a very, very, very prominent place. It is because it strengthens your notes. It strengthens your notes, and as harmonica players, what happens is, I think your positions, your blow draw positions, that will become very strong. What you need to do for a C or a Sa, what you need to do for a D, what you need to do for an E. Honestly, I'm assuming that we are using the C harmonica by the way. So all these things become very perfect. And then traversing between notes. So if I say Sa, Sa, so the student will play Sa and then Sa. So the distance between the lower Sa or the middle octave Sa and the higher octave Sa, that is easily gaugeable by the student because of these alankars. And then also, alankars also help in breath control. If you keep on playing this, the speed and the breath control, and especially the Padanisa range where there are draw notes. Padanisa, Nida, Padanida, Padanisa, Sanida, Nida are both draw notes on a C harmonica, Nida are draw notes. So your breath control and how much of apportionment you give to each of the notes. For example, after Pa, after the blow G note, you have A and B as draw notes on a harmonica. So what do you do there if you lose out of breath? And then we have a silver lining there, which is Sa, which is again a blow note. So manage your breath, manage your blowing and drawing accordingly so that there is no discrepancy while playing the harmonica. And then after this alankars, there is a set of, I think in my course I have around 18 alankars specially designed for harmonica learning. And then we come to the songs. How do we choose the songs? What are the songs that students want to learn? So basically, if I play a song which all of you have not listened to, you will lose interest in my performance. I will play a song, if I play or a song which everyone knows, only then you will respond to my performance. So keeping that as the base, I would like to start with songs which students, generally children, already know rhymes. The best thing to start with is a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or a London Bridge is Falling Down or something like that. Rhymes which all of us have grown up with, or any other song of your region which people know. So if you start with a song which you already know, two things. One, you learn faster, and then you develop more interest in learning the instrument. And the first thing which happens when you learn a song is, I've observed my own students, especially the beginners, saying, I start teaching them the song, the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song, maybe after 5 or 6 classes of the beginner's course. And the first thing they have is a smile on their face, because they feel, okay, I'm able to play a song. It's just a 4-line song. Sa sa pa pa da da pa ma ma ga ga ri sa pa pa ma ma ga ga ri pa pa ma ma ga ga ri. Done. The song is done. But the satisfaction and the happiness that you get when you play a song vis-a-vis when you play notations, just alankars, keep on practicing alankars, is very huge. You play one song, you will feel very happy. Not only you, your family members, people at home feel very happy. So I think that is very important, tapping that nature of music. And then, of course, the songs goes on becoming little more complex in nature as and when days pass. And then you slowly introduce the chromatic. Maybe I do it after around 8 to 9 months of their tremolo learning. Only then I introduce them to the chromatic. And before the chromatic, I also show them the picture of a keyboard, or maybe just take a melodica and show them that these are the notes and these are the flats and sharps, and what does a chromatic do and that a tremolo doesn't do. So this is what, and also choosing the songs for beginners course. I was talking to you about nursery rhymes, but also there are so many film songs that are there that can be taught without using the slider. So I usually choose them. And then how to make the course material for this. So what all I include in the course material. For example, if we have a song, say Ae Dil Mushkil Jeena Yahan, what is the course material for this song? One, the notations in PDF format or whatever, and then a -1 track which has nothing, just a track, there's a track of the song. And then I also include a lesson track which has the karaoke track. On that I would have played the harmonica, the song with the harmonica. On that I would have also sung the notations. So the track has the -1 track, karaoke track, the music, then the harmonica playing, and then on top of that my singing. Sa pa ga sa pa pa ma ni re ga ma ma ga re ga ga sa ga re sa ni re sa. So this will be there in the track. So 3 elements: one the music, the harmonica playing, and the vocals, so that they can listen to it many number of times and they can practice it. And another thing which I tell my students is to listen to the original song many number of times. That is very important. First, in the key which is already recorded it, and probably spend some time converting that to the key of C, because they're learning on C, so that they can know what they're playing, and also practicing on top of the original song after converting that to the respective key, and then practicing along with the lesson track. And then after they are okay with practicing on the lesson track, I will ask them to practice with the -1 track, now without the vocals and the harmonica. So all these things, this much of work goes into learning one song. So this is about my brief journey about how I teach harmonica to students. If there are any questions, I'm ready to take them. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Sai. I am already plagued by one question. Is the ability to work out notations inborn or can you acquire it as you go along in years?
Okay, this is a very good question. Many people ask me this. How do you understand? For example, if I'm listening to la 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 la, so what is a pa ma sa? How do I get that pa ma sa? Or any other song for that matter? I think to be able to write the notations, some kind of formal classical music training is definitely required. Little bit, at least little bit is definitely required. Otherwise, it is difficult to make the notations. Even if you are able to make the notations, it might not be accurate. There might be some elements, some fine elements missing. So I think classical music training really helps. Even if you are a harmonica player, it is not too late. You can still start the basics of classical music little bit, at least till the stage where you can write your own notations and not depend on people to give you notations. Listening by ear, one more thing I want to say, listening by ear, somewhere we stagnate. At one point of time we stagnate. But notations, I think it is the most accurate, and there is no, it's foolproof. It's foolproof basically. Playing by notations is foolproof. But again, that depends on what kind of notations you have, whether it is genuine or whether there is a small discrepancy in the notations. Any other questions?
Can you describe something about notation for harmonica and notation for other instruments? I want to just have a query. Sometimes perfect notation does not give perfect feel like harmonica, and some imperfect notation gives better feel. Can you describe that?
Yes. So generally what happens is, here we also should talk about the ability to play on that particular instrument. For example, I cannot compare a harmonica to a flute or a guitar or any other instrument for that matter. I cannot even compare a harmonica to an accordion, because what an accordion can do, harmonica cannot do. What a harmonica can do, an accordion cannot do. Each instrument has its own, I wouldn't say limitations, it has its own characteristic, I would say. I don't want to call limitation, I don't want to use that word limitation, because all instruments are so beautiful. I think it depends on, again, I go back to classical music, and a little bit of vocal music training will really help to feel the song. For example, if I'm playing, let us take, for example, Chukar Mere Man Ko. If I'm playing Chukar Mere Man Ko, Kiya Tune Kya Ishara. This is the song. I'm technically correct, but aesthetically, am I right? Chukar Mere Man Ko. So when I say chukar, whether you're playing on an accordion or a guitar or a harmonica or a saxophone, that word chukar should make sense. So that can actually be done on the harmonica or any other instrument. I feel once you are able to sing the song, that is why I said listen to the original song many number of times. Whoever the singer is, listen to that song, and it will be an added advantage if you can understand the lyrics of the song as well. Just because I am playing a Bengali song, it doesn't mean that I should not understand the lyrics of the language. What I do is, I had performed Rabindra Sangeet song for Kavi Pranam, Mama Chitte Nidhi Mitte. So I spoke to my Bengali friends, I took the meaning of the song and then only tried to play that, because I should be right in emoting where I have to. If I blow too hard on a place which has a very soft meaning, then it makes no sense. I'm actually doing injustice to the song. So I think little bit of vocal music knowledge really helps. Not that everyone is a singer or everyone can become a singer. Having the knowledge of singing little bit is definitely an added advantage. Yes, sir.
Will
we are playing harmonica, the one main problems in the beginning stage, or sometimes when we are out of practice for a long time, we have this control of saliva. So how to do that? When we're flowing and we're drawing, we get an accumulation of saliva in our mouth, and sometimes it goes in the mouth and it spoils the mouth also.
Okay. So what Devashish sir is telling is about the saliva problem. So what happens is, this is a very, very individual problem. Now, for example, some of us salivate more, some of us less. And also, during my initial days of Carnatic music playing on the harmonica, I would keep a wooden bowl of water and then keep a handkerchief. I would dip the handkerchief, squeeze it, and then wipe the mouthpiece. Then initially I thought that was the way to, kind of lubricate the mouthpiece. Then what I realized was, our own saliva is the best lubricant for the harmonica. So what I do is, because it looks a little weird, I'll just show you. But what I do is, I do this. Every other time when I'm playing the harmonica, whenever there's a break or a gap, I do this. That's it. And if I don't want people to see that, I will close my palm here and do it. Because especially when I play a Carnatic music concert, they go on for 2.5, 3 hours. So 3 hours we have to be seated in one place, keep playing the harmonica all the time. Of course, we'll have breaks when the violinist is playing, or the mridangam and the ghatam or any other percussion, they are playing their solos. We will have time, but generally it is the harmonica. In my concert, generally it is me playing for the maximum time. So how do we manage, like he said, the saliva and all those things? So it is a very individual thing. I think we have to just look into ourselves and find out if we are salivating more or less, or is it okay for our harmonica playing, and then how much of lubrication is happening on the harmonica. I think that's a very individual thing, and then this is something which maybe if you are salivating more, then I think you should talk to a doctor and find out if there are ways to control it. Yeah.
I have a question.
Hello. Sorry. See, I have a small question. See, there are songs. Suppose let me take the case of Mera Jeevan Kodaka. Mera Jeevan Kodaka it's either in G or in G sharp. But your students would most likely have the C or C sharp. Now, what scale notation would you give them? Will it be sa 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 re re ni sa re, which is the original notation in the scale of G, or you will give them pa 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 dha dha ma pa?
Okay. This question will lead to so many other things, but there is no time now. But I will just answer this question. So what happens is, there are two theories. One, whether we have to play on the original key of the song. That is again a very big debate. Or whether any song can be played on any key. Now this concept of playing a particular song in a particular key is there in Western music. For example, if Fur Elisa has been composed in F minor, I will not dare to play it on C minor, because it is a taboo if I play it on C minor. I'm just giving an example.
I'll cut it short. I didn't want it to go into that level. See, what I say is, G scale is extremely easy to play in a C scale vocal. It's extremely easy. For example, this is as easy as if you play it in pa 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 dha dha ma pa ma.
Yes.
Is easy, or
I'm coming to that.
so let's take only this example. Let us only take this example.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'll just stick to his. So Mera Jeevan Kora Kagas, the song, it can be played on any key, for example. So what I will tell my students is, I will see what happens is, on a chromatic harmonica, this is my personal opinion, I may be wrong, but this is my personal opinion. On a chromatic harmonica, the moment you apply the slider, there is a cut in the flow of the song itself. And so many things happen with the blow and draw patterns. So what I would recommend to my students or any harmonica player, again it's my personal opinion, is that it is always better if you understand the scales and the modes of Western music or even Indian music, the different scales which come, like sa to sa, re to re, there are different modes which appear. If you understand them, I think my opinion would be, especially while playing songs like this, would be to as much as possible minimize the use of the slider. So I will choose a scale,
Yes.
I will choose a key on my C harmonica where by playing this particular rag or this particular song, the usage of the slider is minimum so that I don't disturb the feel of the song. This is my personal opinion.
I think
So whether it is C or G, that is a different thing, but maybe because it is based on
Slider.
I will probably use a G and give the notations as per G.
the slider usage will have to be minimized.
Yes.
And I think you will also have to keep a watch on the track that is available on YouTube.
Yes.
Because you cannot make a
Closest, yes.
C को तो C में
Or make a new track.
और that's cost. That's again cost.
No question.
ठीक है. Thank you.
Sorry, no question. It took 10 years for this session to come on IMP stage, right? 2012, the first IMP I had requested that we need some people to take sessions how to train the teachers, right? Because many of us get queries ki we want to learn from you, but like for me, I always give your name, Sandeepan's name, Sunil Patil's name, I mean depending on the region. So thanks a lot for taking this session. And I think
Thank you.